The crawl space. The first time I really heard it, was a Wednesday, mid-October. Cold had just started to creep into Maine's bones. I was lying in bed with the kind of silence you only get in places far from other people, the kind that feels like it's listening. Then came the knocking, not loud, just persistent, like fingertips tapping gently against wood, rhythmic, deliberate, from beneath me. I sat up, held my breath, waited. Nothing. Just the house settling, I told myself. But the next night, it came again, and again the next. It wasn't always knocking. Sometimes it was a scrape, a slow dragging sound, like something or someone was shifting around on their stomach just below the floorboards. I told myself it was raccoons, maybe a possum. I'd seen one near the garbage the week before, its eyes like wet black stones in the dark. So I did what any decent HVAC guy would do. Grabbed a flashlight, put on gloves, popped the latch on the crawl space door out back. It was a tight fit. The kind of space made for wires and pipes, not men. Dirt floor, cobwebs. The smell hit me right away, that same wrong sour stink. Stronger down there, thicker. I crawled in. There was nothing. At first. Then the light caught it, a scratch mark on one of the joists. Long, deep. Not chewed, scratched, like from fingernails. 5 lines. Human. I backed out fast. Told myself it could have been the last owner, losing it in his final days. That made sense, right? Dying men don't always go gentle. Sometimes they claw at the walls, even if there's no one left to hear them. Except, one night later, I heard something that killed that theory stone cold. A voice from beneath the floor, whispered just loud enough to hear, "Jake." I taped that photo to the fridge. Maybe that sounds crazy, but I wanted to see it every day. Remind myself it was real, that I hadn't imagined it, that something was wrong here. The nights got worse. I started waking up cold, ice cold, like the furnace had shut off. But when I checked the thermostat, it'd be set just fine. The vents were blowing warm air. And yet, my breath still fogged the air like I was camped in the dead of January. Then the footsteps started. Not from above like roof creaks or squirrels in the attic. Below, soft, slow, deliberate. I'd lie there in bed, staring at the ceiling like that would help, my ears locked on the floor beneath me, following each step as it moved from one end of the room to directly under my bed. Then silence. I started sleeping on the couch, lights on, toolbox beside me. The hammer was in my hand most nights. I called animal control, told them I thought maybe there were raccoons or something living under the house. Guy came out the next day, young kid, polite, crawled under, poked around. He came out pale, said there's no animals under there, but you got a lot of scratches. I asked, "Scratches?" He nodded, like something was trying to get out. He left and didn't charge me. That night, I locked the crawl space latch from the outside and jammed a cinder block over it for good measure. Next morning, the cinder block was inside the crawl space. I know what you're thinking. Someone was screwing with me. I thought that too. I checked every lock, every window, even installed motion lights. They didn't go off. But the photo changed. I came home from work, looked at the fridge, and the Polaroid, same one, was different. Same crawl space hatch, but this time the white thing, it had moved into frame. A hand, thin, wrong, like it had too many knuckles. Each finger curled against the wood like it was pulling itself up. I didn't sleep that night, didn't work the next day. I sat in the living room with every light on, every tool I had in arm's reach, because now, the voice didn't whisper anymore. It laughed. I froze, flat on my stomach in a coffin-sized hole beneath my own house, knees pressed into damp earth, heart hammering so loud I thought it might echo. The light came back. The face was gone, but the breathing wasn't. Worse, it was closer. I scrambled backward, elbows scraping raw against the joists. My boot caught something, snapped it, a rib maybe. Something that cracked like dry wood but wasn't. The flashlight slipped from my hand, skittered off into the dark. And that's when I felt it. Fingers, cold, thin, wrapping around my ankle. I screamed, kicked, slammed my heel against whatever it was. Bone crunched. It let go. I didn't think. I just moved. Clawed my way toward the hatch, toward that thin strip of hallway light leaking down through the open floor. My shoulder hit a beam, hard. I tasted blood in my mouth, but I didn't stop because it was coming. I could hear it, a dragging, wet shuffle behind me, breathing like an animal that had forgotten how to die. Then the whisper again, but not soft this time. "Jake, come back." I shot out of the crawl space, slammed the hatch shut behind me, and threw my full weight on top of it. The wood bucked under me. Something hit it from below. Once, twice, then silence. I backed away, still on all fours, breath heaving like a bellows. The house around me had gone still, like even it was holding its breath. I don't know how long I sat there, but when I finally stood, my hands were shaking. Then I saw it. On the wall across from the hatch, carved deep into the plaster, a message, "Let me finish." That's when it hit me. Those marks in the dirt. They weren't just scratches, they were letters, words. Over and over, something had been writing, and I'd interrupted it. Whatever was down there wasn't just hiding, it was working, and now it knew I'd seen it. It knew my name. It knew I'd opened the door. I didn't argue. I nodded, kept my hands steady, told them I understood. That I'd been working too much. Stress. Long nights. They wrote it off like a fever dream. Just another loner unraveling in an old house with creaky pipes and bad insulation. But I knew better. Something had been under there, is under there, and it had cleaned up after itself, like it was expecting the cops, like it wanted to be left alone until it was ready again. After they left, I tried to forget, tried to move on. I really did. I replaced the hatch with thick plywood, bolted it down, covered it with a rug and furniture and anything else I could stack on top. I even sprinkled salt around the seams. I didn't know if it worked. Hell, I wasn't even religious, but it made me feel like I was doing something. Nights were worse. I started drinking more, left the TV on just to drown out the house. But the silence leaked through anyway. And then the dreams came. Faces, stretched thin like wax left too close to flame. Mouths open but never speaking, just staring, reaching. One night I saw him, the man who lived here before me. In the dream, he was on his stomach, crawling toward the hatch, pale, bloody fingers, eyes wide and blind. He turned his head, slow like it hurt, and looked right at me. And he said it only stops if you finish it. I woke up choking, gasping, dirt in my mouth. Real dirt, packed under my fingernails, ground into my sheets. I checked the hatch, untouched, still sealed, still bolted tight. But on the rug above it, written in dust I know I cleaned, was one word: soon. I called the realtor the next morning, told her I was putting the house back on the market. She didn't ask why, just said, "You're not the first." And in the pause that followed, just before she hung up, she added, "It never stays empty long." I asked her what that meant, but she was already gone. I left everything, furniture, tools, the framed photo of my dad in the hallway, all of it. Locked the front door and tossed the keys down a storm drain 2 towns over. Didn't even leave a forwarding address. I figured I could outrun it. That if I moved far enough away, new town, new job, new name if I had to, maybe it would forget me. But evil, see, it doesn't forget. It waits. I've been living in an apartment now, 3rd floor, right? Concrete walls, no crawl spaces, no basements, no dark corners under the floor. But some nights, just before sleep takes me, when the world is real quiet and I'm in that thin crack between waking and dream, I hear it. Scratching. Not from the walls, not from the ceiling, from under the bed. Soft, slow, familiar. I check, of course. Lift the bed skirt, shine a flashlight, even sprinkle salt around the frame like a damn lunatic. But nothing's ever there. Nothing I can see. And the dreams, they're worse. That thing, the face from the crawl space, it's in all of them now. And it's always writing, in the dirt, on walls, in blood sometimes. The same message again and again, finish it. I don't know what that means, and I don't want to find out. But I think it's not done with me. Hell, maybe I brought it with me. Or maybe it's not the house. Maybe it never was. Maybe it's us, all of us, the broken ones, the ones who live alone, the ones no one checks on, the ones no one would miss. Maybe that's all it ever needed. Someone to listen, someone to believe, someone to finish the story. So if you ever move into a place with a crawl space, one that smells wrong, don't open it. Don't look. Because once you see it, it sees you. And the scratching never stops. If this story gave you chills, do me a favor, like the video. It really helps the channel grow and pushes this content to more people who love unsettling tales like you. Subscribe for more stories posted daily. Fresh horror, dark mysteries, and the kinds of stories that stick in your mind long after the screen goes dark. Share this with someone who loves a good scare, or someone who just moved into a new place. Thanks for listening and watching. There's another story waiting for you on the screen right now. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Sleep tight, and whatever you do, don't listen to the scratching. Dead air. They always say radio is about filling silence, but no one tells you what happens when the silence starts filling back. I was sitting in Studio B, red on-air light blinking like a dying heartbeat, drinking coffee that tasted like burnt toast and regret. Midnight had just ticked past. The playlist was set, the calls were dead, and the only real company I had was the neon buzz from the soda machine in the hallway. Jack Carter. That's me. I host the late night show for KTRD 97.6, The Drift, the kind of station that plays dusty rock ballads and low-rent conspiracy talk shows no one else wants. If you've ever driven cross-country and found yourself flipping through static at 2 a.m., odds are you've heard my voice. I'm the guy who tells you you're not alone, even when you probably are. The booth was always too cold, the chair always creaked, and the damn HVAC system made this high-pitched whine like a mosquito in your skull. But that night, it just stopped. No warning, no gradual fade. Just click, gone. And that's when the dead air hit. Now for you, dead air might just mean silence. No sound, nothing. But when you've been doing this job long enough, you know what real silence sounds like. It has texture, shape, edges. But this wasn't silence. This was a void. Like something had sucked all the sound out of the room, like a vacuum pressing on your eardrums. My heart started beating faster, and I tapped the mic. Nothing. I flicked switches, adjusted dials, even snapped my fingers near the mic. Still dead air. Then just as I leaned in closer to the console, trying to make sense of the silence, a whisper leaked through the headphones. It said my name. Not Jack Carter, just Jack, soft, like breath against skin. And I swear, it came from inside the booth. The track ended. I didn't cue up another. I just sat there, frozen. The walls of the booth felt tighter. The air, thick like breathing through cotton. I stared at the board. Meters fine, lights steady, nothing to explain the whisper, nothing to explain her voice. But it wasn't over. The studio phone rang, shattering the quiet like a slap. I jumped, heart slamming against my ribs. Line 1. I picked it up. Static. Thick, chewing static, like someone crumpling aluminum foil underwater. Then, click, dead. Line 2 blinked, breathing, labored, wet, just under the edge of human, like someone with lungs full of mud trying to stay alive. I whispered, "Who is this?" The breathing stopped, and then line 3 lit up. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. Jack. Her voice, I swear to God, soft, slightly amused, just like she sounded the morning before the accident, before her car wrapped around a telephone pole on Route 17. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. "Why didn't you come to the funeral?" she asked. The line went dead. I sat there staring at the board and something clicked in my head. I reached for the transmitter, killed the signal. Lights off, mic cold. The station went dark, but the silence didn't leave. It grew. No hum, no air vent, no outside wind. Then creak. Not over the headphones, not through a speaker. A real physical creak, the sound of the front door opening. I hadn't buzzed anyone in. No one else had a key. I stood, hands shaking, and crept to the window looking down the hall. The fluorescents were flickering, casting long, stuttering shadows, and the smell hit me. Earth, wet soil, not just dirt, freshly turned dirt, like the kind you dig from a grave when it's still moist and clinging to the shovel. I slammed the door to the booth and twisted the lock, grabbed the handheld recorder. I had to document this. My story, my proof. I hit record. Nothing. The device blinked live. It was broadcasting. My recorder had tapped into the feed. Someone had overridden the system. Every word, every breath, I wasn't saving it. I was sharing it, and someone or something was listening. Every line on the board lit up, blinking in perfect unnatural rhythm, like eyes opening in the dark. One by one, all 5. I picked up the first, fingers numb. My voice barely made it out. "This is Jack Carter. Who's..." "You've been talking so long, Jack," the voice interrupted. "Now it's our turn." Not one voice. All of them. Layered, echoing, speaking as a hive. The board erupted. Needles spiked, feedback screamed, lights pulsed like strobes. But it wasn't noise. It was language. Words without words. Syllables too old to remember how to be spoken. Then everything just dropped. Stillness. The kind of silence that doesn't wait for you to feel it. It consumes. My breath fogged in the freezing air. The temperature had plummeted. Frost crept along the inside of the glass, curling like fingers, and the mic in front of me started to vibrate. Not from use, but from something trying to speak through it. Then it started. The silence spoke, every secret, every lie I'd whispered on air to sound more interesting. The affair I covered with fake road reports, the confessions I twisted into calls, the pain I sold for ratings. And then came the ghosts. My ex-wife, soft and sharp. My mother, calling me a coward. The voice of a hitchhiker I passed one rain-slicked night, the one who never made it home. They knew. They remembered. I slammed my palms against the board, trying to shut it down, yanked cords, flipped breakers. But the silence didn't need wires anymore. It was the broadcast now. It was me. A low hum vibrated inside my teeth. My jaw clenched as if someone were pulling words straight from the root of my brain. I felt it crawling up my throat. That's when I realized I wasn't wearing the headphones. The voices weren't in the mic. They were in me. I had one chance, one decision. Speak and maybe drown them out, or listen and be hollowed out forever. So I screamed, I begged, shouted into the dead air for someone, anyone. A trucker on the interstate, a kid with a radio under their pillow. Please, hear me. But my voice didn't echo. It didn't carry. It was eaten, swallowed. The silence had taken the last sound I owned. The sun broke over the eastern ridge like a reluctant apology, casting pale gold across the frost-laced parking lot of KTRD. But inside, it was still night. Inside, it was always night. They found me slumped over the mic, eyes wide open but seeing nothing. My mouth moved on loop, lips cracked and bleeding. Are you listening? Again and again. A whisper turned chant. The cops thought it was a breakdown, said I'd probably snapped from isolation, too much caffeine, not enough sleep. The EMT who checked my pulse said my skin was ice cold like he's been outside all night. But the door had never opened. No sign of forced entry. The booth was clean, too clean. No blood, no prints, no tapes in the recorder. Every hard drive wiped. Console logs blank. Even the wall clocks had stopped. 3:03 a.m. But one thing remained. Etched into the drywall behind the soundboard, shallow but deliberate, like fingernails dragged slow through wet paint. Transmit. They asked me if I remembered doing it. I didn't. They asked what happened. I told them about the voices, the calls, the whisper that knew me by name. They laughed. Then they stopped laughing when the audio tech swore he'd heard something. A hiss, a whisper, a layered hum, coming from the cables, even with everything shut down. The smell lingered too. Earth, still damp, still fresh. They closed the station. Hazmat taped the doors, called it a gas leak. But I knew, deep down, I knew the station wasn't the source. I was. They sent me home with pills and pamphlets, told me not to be alone. But people didn't stay around me long. Said I talked in my sleep. Said radios clicked on by themselves when I was nearby. One neighbor swore he heard crying through his baby monitor. Not a child's, though. A grown man's voice, mine. I haven't slept in days. Not really. Every time I close my eyes, I hear them tuning in. Not with ears, with something else. Something older. You don't just turn off a signal like that. Not once it's inside you. And now I think it's trying to broadcast again. It's been 3 weeks. I've moved twice, canceled all my accounts. No phone, no radio, no internet, just me. A battered notebook and whatever silence I can find that isn't listening back. But it still finds me. The signal. Sometimes it hums through the walls. Sometimes it buzzes under the sink. Once I heard it in a dog's bark, a broken syllable of my name buried in the howl. I've tried recording it. It won't stay. Playback just returns static until I press stop. Then the whisper. Always the same, are you listening? I said yes once, just once, and I blacked out. Woke up 3 hours later with dirt under my nails and blood on the page of my notebook. Not mine. I didn't write the words there. I couldn't have. Transmit. I know what it wants now. It doesn't want to haunt me. It doesn't want revenge. It wants a voice, a host, and maybe I already gave it one. Maybe the night I screamed into that mic, begged the world to hear me, I wasn't being heard. I was being answered. You don't come back from something like that. Not whole, not clean. Every breath feels like someone else's. Every thought echoed, like it's already been spoken before I can speak it. So I leave this with you. If you're hearing this, really hearing it, check your surroundings. Listen, not for noise, but for what's missing. That quiet between words, that's where it lives. And if one night your radio crackles with nothing but dead air, don't lean in. Don't listen too hard, because you might hear me, and I might not be alone. If this story pulled you in, do me a favor. Like the video to help keep this channel alive and growing. It really does help. Subscribe for daily content, more dark tales and strange transmissions from the edge of midnight. Share this with someone who sleeps with the radio on, just to make sure they know who might be listening back. Thanks for being here, for staying with me through the static. There's another story waiting for you right now, just on the screen. And remember, I'll be back tomorrow, unless the silence gets me first. The Last Patient. My name's Nate Keller. I'm just a night janitor. Used to work at West Pine General, an old hospital on the edge of town. Closed down 3 years ago after the flood. Or, that's what they told us. I took the job after the divorce. Just wanted quiet, routine, a paycheck. You mop, you dump the trash, you keep your head down. Simple. But here's the thing about old hospitals. They remember every cry, every cut, every secret whispered behind a curtain. And that night, the night I heard the bell in room 209, that was the beginning of the end. West Pine wasn't just shut down, it was abandoned. Peeling paint, shattered windows, beds left mid-turn, as if the whole place just stopped. They said the floodwaters made the basement unstable, that the electricals were toast, that it was cheaper to build a new wing than fix the old one. Still, a skeleton crew stuck around. Security, a couple maintenance guys, me. Mostly we kept vandals out, but the third floor, it was always cold, always dark, and no one ever talked about room 209. Even on the blueprint maps, it was scratched out. Literally, like someone took a key to the page. I never asked. Some doors are meant to stay closed, but one night, 1:33 a.m., just after my second coffee, I heard it. Ding, the soft, unmistakable chime of a nurse call bell, from the wing that had no power, from the room that didn't exist. And I went to check. God help me. I went to check. At first, I thought maybe a rat hit the service bell. But when I opened the door, there was someone in the bed, thin, pale, hooked up to machines that hadn't been powered in years, eyes wide open. They looked right at me. I backed out, shut the door. Told myself I imagined it, sleep deprivation, stress, fluorescent lights playing tricks on me. But the next night, it happened again. This time, the bed was empty, but a message was scratched into the glass of the window. Don't leave me. I started digging through old records, patient logs, nurse reports, security footage. Room 209 had been sealed since the flood, but one name kept coming up. Jonas Rayner, a psych patient, admitted a week before West Pine closed its doors. No discharge, no death certificate, just vanished. And that's when the dream started. Water seeping up through the floor, hallways flooded in moonlight, a voice calling my name, not yelling, whispering, begging. By the fourth night, I wasn't sleeping at all. And room 209, now it had a heartbeat monitor, and it was beeping. But there's no power in that wing. I asked the front desk if anyone else heard anything. They laughed it off. Ghost stories, Nate. This place is full of them. But the way old Rick looked at me, eyes just a little too wide, I knew he'd heard the bell too. That night, the hallway leading to room 209 was different. Wet footprints, like someone walked out barefoot, then dragged one leg behind. I followed them. Couldn't help it. The prints led straight into the maintenance stairwell, then vanished halfway down. The air was thick, wet, smelled like mold and rust. And when I got back to my cart, my mop was gone. In its place on the floor, a patient bracelet. Rayner J. admit date 10/31. Status in treatment. But the hospital shut down October 30th. I tried to leave. Car wouldn't start. Phone was dead. And when I turned around, the hospital lights were on. All of them, including the ones on the third floor. I couldn't stay away. I told myself it was to end the nightmare, to prove there was a logical explanation. But the truth? Something had its hooks in me. I went back to 209. Flashlight, tool belt, crucifix in my pocket, just in case. The hall was too quiet. No hum of vents, no buzzing lights. The air, heavy like the building was holding its breath. And when I opened the door, Jonas was there, sitting upright, still as stone, eyes black as the void, swallowing the light from my beam. His skin looked paper thin, veins pulsing blue like something slithering just beneath. IV lines snaked into his arms, but the bags were empty. He didn't blink, didn't move, and then he spoke, but his mouth didn't move. "You're the last one left. Let me out or take my place." My ears rang like a siren, my knees buckled. Every instinct screamed, "Get out." But the room shifted. The ceiling dripped, the paint bled. The walls melted into water, thick, black water swallowing the corners of the room. The machines powered on. Monitors beeped in rhythm with my pulse, too fast, too loud. Then came the screams. 100 voices, men, women, children, all screaming from the vents. The floor rippled beneath my boots like it was breathing, like it wanted me. I ran. Through the door, down the hall, stairs, elevator, basement, back again. Every turn, every door, every corridor led me straight back to room 209. No matter how fast I ran, Jonas was always there, smiling now. And I realized I wasn't in the hospital anymore. I was inside him, his mind, his memory, a loop he trapped others in before me. All those names in the logs that just disappeared, they never left. Now it was my turn, but I had one chance, one shot. The crucifix in my pocket burned cold against my palm. I stepped forward, raised it, and said the only thing I could think of, I see you. His smile faltered. For just a second, he blinked and I ran. One last time, toward the light, toward the door. I don't remember how I got out. One moment I was in that nightmare loop, staring down the black void of Jonas's eyes. The next I was lying on the break room couch, soaked to the bone, shoes muddy, heart hammering. The clock said 4:09 a.m. My time card was punched. My cart was parked neatly in the corner, keys jingling in my pocket like nothing had happened. But something had. Something was. At first I thought maybe it was all in my head. A breakdown. Too many graveyard shifts. Too much coffee. Too little sleep. Until I opened the janitor closet. It was full. Too full. Supplies stacked with labels I didn't recognize. Brands that haven't existed in decades. Bleach in glass bottles. A mop with a wooden handle aged to near black. Then I saw it. The bulletin board in the main hall. A photo. Standing next to a tall, thin man in a patient gown. Eyes hollow. Smile wrong. The label underneath said Staff Appreciation Day, West Pine General, 1997. But I was born in 1984. In that photo, I looked like I was in my 40s. I've never taken that picture. I tore it down. But when I walked back by 10 minutes later, it was pinned up again. And the weirdest part, people started acting like I belonged. Nurse files left for me at the desk. A call over the PA, Mr. Keller, please report to imaging. Even Rick, the old guard, nodding and saying, double shift again, huh? But I never clocked in for another shift. I never meant to stay. The front doors won't open anymore, just glass and steel that won't budge. And the windows? They show a parking lot that doesn't exist, just rows of cars from another era, dust-covered, engine dead, like time's been paused, like West Pine is remembering me. Every night at 1:33 a.m., I hear the bell, room 209, ding, soft, distant, but closer than before. And sometimes, without even realizing, I stand up. I start walking, and I think, God help me, I think I'm starting to answer. So if you ever get a job offer at an old hospital, think twice, because some buildings don't forget. Some patients never leave, and some doors once opened can't ever be closed again. Me? I think I never really left room 209. I think I died in there. Or maybe worse. Maybe I traded places, because these days I know everything about this hospital. I know which lights flicker first when the night begins. I know the exact second the boiler coughs at 2:17 a.m. I know the names of all the patients who never got discharged. And Jonas? I haven't seen him since that night. But sometimes, when I walk past a mirror, I catch a flicker, a shadow that moves when I don't, a smile that doesn't belong to me. And each night at 1:33 a.m., I hear the bell, soft, measured, ding, and my feet carry me toward it. Without thought, without fear, like I've done it 100 times before. Because maybe I have. Maybe I'm part of the building now, one of its memories, its whispers, just waiting for the next janitor, the next lost soul who thinks they're just here for a paycheck, someone to take the mop, punch the card, open the door, and when they do, I'll be there. Just like Jonas was for me, smiling, still waiting. So if you ever see a flickering light in a hospital hallway, if you hear a bell ringing from a room no one's supposed to enter, don't answer, no matter how many times it calls, because it always calls again. And next time, it might be calling you. Thanks for listening. If this story chilled your bones, do me a favor, like the video to support the channel and help more horror lovers find this content. Subscribe for new scary stories every single day. And hey, share this video with a friend who loves a good late night scare. I appreciate you spending your time here in the dark with me. There's another video I think you'll like waiting right here on your screen. I'll see you back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Just don't answer the bell.